Yeah, good evening, Erlangen. I think it's obvious that since we're celebrating our friendship to Eskilstuna tonight, we learned something about Sweden. And I have to admit, I myself haven't been to Sweden yet. So a lot of what I'm going to tell you about is based on Wikipedia, which you can easily read on a lot of the slides. I have met a couple of Swedes, and I have to say they're all fun. And I'll go into that later. But we'll start out with something that everybody of us knows. IKEA. I think every German knows IKEA, and not only the Germans. And I found out, thanks to Wikipedia, that it's called after Ingvar Kamprad and the place he grew up in. And it was founded already in 1943. And Ingvar can be seen on the bottom right. Here you can see just a selection of popular companies that are based in Sweden. Obviously, our beloved Knäckebrot, in the middle, Vasa, founded already in 1919. But there's a lot of interesting companies there. And here we see where, as well, IKEA, as also Vasa, stole their colors from. This is the Swedish flag, and as of yesterday, of the day before yesterday, I will not forget those colors. What they represent is the golden cross that Eric the Holy, and we see him here on the coat of arms of Stockholm, saw when he what he saw in the sky when he landed in Finland. Yeah, he landed in Finland. Like when he landed in Finland as a Swede, he saw the cross. That's what Wikipedia says. I wouldn't know. Here we see where Sweden is based, and I myself wasn't too aware of it. I knew that it was somewhere in the northern area, but it's actually right in the middle, with Norway to the left or west, and Finland to the east, and Denmark in the south. Here we see how the areas and the inhabitants compare of Sweden and Germany. And while Sweden is slightly larger than Germany, we have more than 8 times the inhabitants here in Germany. I did a similar comparison for Erlangen and Eskilstuna. And here we see that Erlangen is roughly twice the size as Eskilstuna. And you can also see on the coat of arms, on the right-hand side of Erlangen, on the left-hand side of Eskilstuna. And on the following slide we see what the cities are famous for. Obviously, on the left-hand side, Eskilstuna for working with metal and tool preparation, while Erlangen used to be very famous for beer, still is, starting next week. And obviously for a smaller company that's kind of known. Here is one of the famous daughters of Eskilstuna, and that is Anni-Frid Lyngstad, who is one of the A's of our beloved ABBA. All of them based out of Sweden. And on the next slide we see one son and one daughter of Erlangen. The left-hand side, Georg Simon Ohm, famous for Ohm's law. And on the right-hand side, Emmy Noether, who was a very famous mathematician. But that should be it for the more, let's say, non-pop culture. Here comes the pop culture. Astrid Lindgren, I think also everybody here knows, is Swedish, not from Eskilstuna, but she is Swedish, and Pippi Longstocking is, I think, a part of everybody's life. Or childhood, at least of my age. And here we see 2 other things that are associated and based in Sweden. Vikings. Now, it's kind of funny when we talk this afternoon, the left-hand side, Vicky, this cartoon character, isn't well known in Sweden, because it's actually based on the TV show prepared by Germany and Japan. Here we have what I learned from our friends is very important in Sweden. It's the Dalahäst or Dala horse. It's a horse traditionally colored in red with iron colors that's been popular since the 17th century. We stay with that kind of animal. This is the goat, and I heard about this from one of the Swedes I had fun drinking with, because this goat, as of 1966, has been in place in the small city of Gävle. And every year somebody sets fire to it. So they actually do make bets how long it doesn't burn. Only 10 times it has lasted the whole time around Christmas. This is Viking chess. We played it with a couple of people here from the PechaKucha team. It's basically throwing things around at each other. This here is a thing that also our Swedish friends weren't aware of, that we call it the elk test, and Florian will say more about it later. In Sweden it's actually called the children test, because they're probably not aware that elks are running on their streets all the time. That's why we call it elk test here. And I want to conclude more or less with saying that Swedish people are fun. I don't know the country personally, but I just recently had a very fun night in Spain with a couple of Swedish people. And I want to conclude finally with telling you, go to Sweden. I will do, definitely. Maybe with SDA, who sponsored us on the first night. So, Sweden it is. Thank you very much.